What's up? It's Mike, and you may be wondering why I'm all dressed up. A, that's none of your business. And B, I've been invited to a funeral today. Don't know who it's for though, but I can't wait to see who the lucky person is. How do they get me every time? Metroid is one of Nintendo's staple game series, but unlike people who can lie, numbers can't. Okay, that's a bit harsh. Metroid does have some die-hard fans, but compared to Pokemon, Mario, and Zelda, Metroid can't really hold a candle to some of the most iconic series in all of gaming history. And I say that as someone who has never played a Metroid game before. That's right, I'm a Metroid virgin. Some would call that stupid, I call it a hobby. I actually didn't even know Metroid existed until I got Smash 64 as my first ever Wii Virtual Console game, and it had this really cool character with an awesome arm cannon named Samus. I had never heard of them before, and I wondered where they came from, for about 3 seconds before picking Donkey Kong and moving on with my day. But fast forward to the time I started using the internet, and more I started to hear about this Nintendo franchise called Metroid, a game series that followed the bounty hunter Samus Aran on our quest to blow shit up, I don't know. My interest in the Metroid series peaked, however, when I started getting into the Game Boy Advance and collecting games for it. You couldn't walk around a corner looking for good Game Boy Advance games without at least hearing a mention of Metroid Zero Mission. Sure, I heard some about Metroid Fusion, but basically everywhere I heard a conversation on the GBA games to get, Metroid Zero Mission just kept barging in. Even with all the positive press I was hearing, it still took me quite a while to actually get it, due to my top 11 least favorite letters of all time. Not giving a shit about Zelda games is my other hobby. I like to think of video games as roller coaster rides. Fast, fun, in a straight line with a couple of loops, and that's just on the back of Super Mario Galaxy's box. I never grew up with games like Link to the Past, so now I just whine about them as an adult. But I started to get bored of being the same, so I decided to invest into some character development. That character development cost me $82. Was it worth it? Depends on who you ask. Now if you ask me, honestly, yes. Metroid Zero Mission is a super good game, but what it does more importantly is act as the perfect gateway of entry into the wild and wacky world of the Metroidvania genre of games, which includes games like Metroid and I don't know, Castlevania? Honestly, they could also be referring to Mole-mania. For the longest time, I'd avoid the genre as a whole because every single time I tried one of them, I got lost, got bored, and stopped playing, all in about the span of 2 hours. I know the whole point of these kinds of games is getting lost, and that's where a ton of people find the fun in Metroidvania games. This is making a lot more sense now. But out of all the Metroidvania games I've played, I think Metroid Zero Mission treads that perfect line between linearity and exploration, and the system they have in place works borderline flawlessly. Basically, you'll hop into these statues, and they'll pinpoint the room that the next major upgrade you have to get to progress is in. I won't tell you how to get there though, and I think this system is just amazing. I never really felt lost, but at the same time I was never discouraged from exploring or trying to find smaller upgrades like missile tanks. And the more and more I played, the more and more I found I was actually just having fun running around knowing the general direction of where I had to go. The only thing I don't like about the exploration of Metroid Zero Mission is sometimes things are hidden behind fake lava pits and walls, and I don't really find that skillful to play around. Poking around the walls for bombable spots feels way more satisfying than just taking a blind jump of faith into a pit of lava hoping it isn't real. Free life tip, that lava's probably real. Another thing this game nails is the gameplay loop, which consists of finding areas that you can't access yet, eventually finding an upgrade that makes you more powerful, going back to access said area and repeat. I was afraid there was going to be a lot of backtracking or just randomly meandering around, but that was almost never the case. One thing that helped with that is that if you're creative enough, you can actually get items before you're supposed to, thanks to techniques like infinite bomb jumping. It also helps that the map isn't too large due to this entire game actually being a remaster of the first NES game. Oh, ew. Calling this game as a remaster is honestly a bit of a disservice though, due to it essentially being a brand new game in its own right while just borrowing the map and some other small elements from the first Metroid game. And it's actually made even better by the fact that you can unlock a complete version of the original NES game after beating the game once. But do you really want to play the original Metroid though? Spoiler alert. No? Its existence is at least a little bit funny, as Nintendo actually tried selling the original NES Metroid by itself as part of the NES Classics line for the GBA, which back then costed around $20 a pop. That's all well and good, but for literally $10 more, or 82, you can also play through Zero Mission, the far more superior experience. So why would you ever buy that? Classic Nintendo. Literally. Back to talking about Zero Mission, and man, this game just nails the controls. Shooting in all directions with the D-pad and the shoulder buttons feel great, with my only small gripe being that it feels like there's so many missile upgrades in the game that by the end you can just shoot them off with reckless abandon, which makes them feel slightly less special than they would otherwise. The movement is very fast and tight with hyper-responsive controls, and I would seriously put it up there with Super Mario Odyssey and Guilty Party on Wii for the best controlling games of all time. Guess which one is the lie? I dare you. Not only do they feel amazing, but you feel amazing while using them. They almost helped me forget the incident. Using a wide-form original GBA to play it feels super comfortable thanks to the giant shoulder buttons. And while it also is playable on an SP, it's nowhere near as nice feeling. Something else that feels nice is the game's difficulty. Even on normal difficulty, which is the highest you have available at the start, isn't too challenging. Although you can make it way harder on yourself if you're a dumbass like me and beat the game with only 4 health upgrades. Didn't want it to be too easy. The beam upgrades you get as you progress is a perfect example about how satisfying of a curve this game can have. Starting off the game with a little pea shooter that turns into a spiraling wave of death by the end feels fantastic. The music is solid almost across the board, with some areas music being way better than others, but none ever get grating. The main place Metroid Zero Mission falters is in the story department, which isn't presented the best. You essentially get these animated GIFs randomly during the gameplay, and they don't tell you all too much. Or anything at all, really. There's this cool story beat where after you beat the final boss from the original NES game, Mother Brain, the game actually continues, where Samus gets shot down by the space pirates and she has to navigate through the space station without her power suit. She eventually gets it back with it being fully powered up, and being able to just dumpster the space pirates on your way off the base, with a small Mecha Ridley getting in the way for a second, feels amazing. The rest of the story though, birds are cool, I guess. As someone who knew a tiny bit about the story of Samus in the Metroid series in general going in, Zero Mission doesn't do anything to clear that up, which kinda sucks, but in terms of the actual game, it isn't too big of a deal. The sprite work is lovely, and while that's honestly the case for a ton of GBA games, it's still definitely worth a mention. I wish I aged as gracefully as the GBA. At least better than the guy from this morning. The game is incredibly replayable too, with each playthrough growing your skills more and more to the point where you can just zip through the game in around an hour, and it feels awesome. This is just WarioWare. Metroid Zero Mission is a stellar game with amazing sprite work, map design, ability upgrades, difficulty, and paired with its borderline addictive gameplay loop, it truly is one of the best Game Boy Advance games, and does deserve to be in the same conversation as Mole Mania. Metroid Zero Mission is not only a great GBA game, but just a great game in general, and it really helped me see the value in less linear, more exploration-heavy games. So why not? Let's pop 2 cherries today and try out Breath of the Wild on Switch. Okay, but where's Donkey Kong?